welcome back to Simply Fujica, a place for budding and aspiring entrepreneurs. Guys, before we go any further, please take the time to go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Make sure you hit that bell notification so that you're notified every time I drop new content. And don't forget to like the video. Guys, today we are going to be talking about how do you stand up a compliant organization. And guys, compliance is something none of us like to talk about. But I'm actually coming off fresh of 2 audits. So the first audit is, you guys know that I had my own home care. I needed to close out the workman's compensation audit, so the insurance for that. So I had that audit. And then secondly, as delivery partners, we have to go through our annual audit. And I thought about, wow, this is taking up a lot of my time. I'm having to produce a lot of documentation. I felt like it was definitely worthy of a video because it's so important to make sure that you are audit ready at all times. So guys, if that's something you're interested in, then stay tuned. The first tip that I have for you is to know the regulations of your industry. Now guys, this is very important. Because you're the business owner, it's not ever going to be okay to say, hey, I didn't know that, or no one told me that. Because this is your selected industry that you chose to go in, it is the assumption that you know the regulations that go into it. And so part of that is understanding who regulates the industry that you're involved in. So for instance, those of you who watch my videos, you see me always mention the California Department of Social Services. I mention them frequently because they govern the home care organizations in California. So it's important to know the source of those regulations so that you can go get the information you need to successfully run your business. I'll give you another example. As delivery partners, we have to have our motor carrier permit. So we are governed by the Department of Transportation. We're also governed by the Department of Motor Vehicles. So it's very important to know who are those governing bodies so that you can understand what those regulations are associated with your business. And guys, if you're not sure who those regulating authorities are, do a quick Google search. Do I need a license to become a cosmetologist? Are there any licenses that I need in order to operate in the city of XYZ? Those types of things only take a couple of minutes, but it definitely starts you on the search to ensure that you are regulations when you're operating your business. The second tip that I have for you is to create your policies and procedures surrounding those regulations. Guys, the best way to ensure that your policies and procedures have passed the sniff test is to ensure that you build them surrounding the regulations you've already studied up on. I have an excellent example that I prepared for you guys. The California Department of Social Services really lays out nicely what is needed in order to have a home health aide onboarded into your organization. So things such as the TB test, things such as them being registered with the state of California, those are things you have to have. And so what I did is I took that information and created a checklist with it. So whenever I was hiring someone into my organization, I just had the checklist that was actually placed on top of the file. And as that candidate was presenting me with information, I would just go ahead and check off that I had it and make sure that I placed it in the file. That way, before the person was hired and I had conversations with the person, I simply just had to pull their file, look at the checklist to see what items were missing. As soon as I had all of those items, I knew they were clear to hire. This way, if the state requested a copy of the file, if anyone wanted to make sure that I was in compliance, I could easily pull up that record and show the documentation as evidence that I'm in compliance. It's as simple as making sure you understand the regulation and then build your process around it. The third tip that I have for you today is to develop your contacts. Guys, you are going to be busy operating your business, and you're the subject matter expert when it comes to your business. When it comes to insurances, when it comes to claims, those other people are subject matter experts in that area. You want to make sure you have those contacts so as these things arise, you know who to reach out to for assistance. So guys, an example I have, I think that applies to almost every industry right now, is COVID-19. You guys know that they have passed COVID-19 regulation, they've revised it, they've updated it, and they've passed out new regulation. And so what if an employee of yours calls out and they say they have COVID? What if one of your employees comes up to you and says, hey, here's my positive test. What happens now? What is going to be your response? And understandably so, most likely this is not your area of expertise. However, you should be able to reach out to someone where that is their area of expertise. And that way, everyone is protected and your business remains compliant. The fourth tip that I have for you is to ensure that you have a way to receive updates. Listen guys, I am a proud lifelong learner. I love to get and access new information on almost a daily basis. Some of that though, if you decide to run a business, is going to be by design. In one of my recent videos, I took you over to the California Department of Social Services and showed you where you can get updates. I love that because even though you may not know that something is in the works, to receive that email on an automated basis, that allows you to stay on top of changes and things that are going on relative to your industry. But that's just one example. Whoever you are using to do your human resources, they should be receiving updates within their trainings. A lot of times, whoever you have your insurances through, they will hold quarterly classes, annual classes. Sometimes you need certificates in order to update your knowledge. Whatever the case may be, make sure that you're signing up for seminars relative to your industry, master classes. YouTube has a wealth of knowledge. Watching this video is a way that you're educating yourself. Whatever your outlet is, you want to make sure that you have a consistent way to always receive knowledge and stay on top of your game. Guys, the fifth and final tip that I have for you is to stay organized. Now guys, I realize that's easier said than done. You're actually looking at a person who will say, oh wow, I've got this new thing that I need to do. I gotta make sure I stay focused. I gotta make sure I stay organized. And then a year later, I realized I never did anything. So it happens to the best of us. However, when you're running your business, you have to make sure that you set up your processes from day one, and that way you stay consistent and with the system that you set up to move forward. Even if you delegate that task or job to someone else, you have to make sure that that person is trained in the way of your expectations. A big piece here that I want to highlight is communication. Almost everything is done through email now. It's hard to get information. Typically, it's easier to have your hands on paper. You could feel it and know where it goes. But sometimes when emails are coming in, it may go to a specific person here. It may go to a specific person over there. You have to make sure that you create systems to address that. Is there an HR mailbox instead of having one person responsible for receiving emails? Whose responsibility is to ensure that correct folders are set up within that mailbox? How are you going to decide what's printed versus what's kept electronically? These are all processes that everyone that's in the know has to be trained on. An additional piece to that, guys, is there should always be some type of internal audit. In other words, you have to have a way to inspect what you expect. Very important. I learned this a long time in my career. Everything is always good until all of a sudden you discover it's not. So you want to make sure that quarterly, every 6 months, every month, whatever the timeline, there's a way that you can sample some of the work that you're expecting to be done in a certain way. Okay guys, I hope this video has been helpful for you. Again, the key is to make sure that you're organized. The key is to make sure that you have processes. And the key is to make sure that everyone involved, that everyone in the know is following those processes. By doing so, you have definitely set up a compliant organization that you could be proud of. In this way, you can make sure that you keep the main thing, and that's your business. Hopefully you guys did find some value from the content that I just presented. If you haven't already, please make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you like the video and then hit that bell notification so that you're notified every time I drop a new video. Okay guys, that's all I have for you today. Stay blessed.